And good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the Good Morning Education Show, and we are live and direct. We are streaming all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, West Africa to the entire world. And I believe that you're excited to be with us this morning. Please do let us know wherever you're streaming from, your location, where you're joining us from. And we believe that we're going to have an absolutely great time today. And I'm joined by my colleagues today. I have Jude in the building. I have Safety Chick in the building. So this is time for us to say hello to everyone. Jude, say hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Safety Chick, why are you laughing now?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this beautiful Monday morning.
Is she laughing at me?
I'm laughing with you, not at you.
Okay.
Safety Chick, what political party do you belong to? I sense a political move there. All right, so we're excited to be here this morning, and it's a great day to be alive. And this is a new week, and this is a new day, and I'm sure it's also bringing us new opportunities and possibilities. So if you're out there, please do let us know. Share your thoughts with us today. Ask questions. Share your comments. Oh, the excellent teacher is already here. Hello, excellent teacher. I am watching from Lagos, Nigeria. Awesome. Solomon Abigail Joy is also here. Good morning to them. So we're going to take a different twist today. I want to ask. So what are your own headline news? So let's put it this way. What are your own headline news? You said? Okay, so Safety Chick is starting. Yes, Safety Chick, what are your own headlines?
I'm still wondering what my own headline news is.
Your head is still on your neck, so you should know.
Well, the only thing coming to mind now, it might not be news. It's just something I spoke about on an IG live session I had. Yes. And by the way, if you joined the IG live, yes, it was so good to see her on that call. And I was talking about how do you hire a domestic staff? You know, there are many factors that, come into play. And, most especially at this time when we all need help, right? People are saying you have to work remotely, and then parents are grappling with working remotely, and then having to take care of their kids. So how do you get good staff that would, make your life easier and not cause problems for you, basically? So we talked through a lot of things, like the importance of training, the importance of background checks, the importance of medical checks, very important, because again, you do not want to bring someone into your home who will transfer infectious diseases to your family members. And then we talked about basic emergency response preparedness. If you're having a house staff, this staff should know what to do if your child, for example, has a new pain, is choking, the need for CPR, all those things. So that's all that is coming to mind. I'm thinking the reason why it's important I mentioned it is everybody, we should find a way to share this within the circles of influence, because that is how we build ourselves and the extension help the children we care about. So
and that was the news according to Safety Chick Cable Network. Hooray! I guess there's someone in the building. Hello, Titi. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning.
Go, Titi.
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I was running a bit late, but good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. And Rotimi, I hope we are live, so it won't be like last week where we chatted for almost 20 minutes.
We're live. We're taking feed from our international network, okay? So there are no glitches today,
yeah. That's fantastic. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, excellent teacher. Good morning, Solomon. Good morning, everyone joining us. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Yes. Yeah, so Titi, we have a new style today that we're adopting. So we are having our own headlines, right? So Safety Chick just took a shot on our own headline news. And I believe it's your turn, and then we'll go to the prophet.
No, since the prophet was here before me, I mean, just quickly go to the prophet. Why
Yes,
Ladies first.
yes, no, I agree. Let's
Jude, I told you, you can't win this fight. So, Jude, over to you.
Okay, my own headlines is basically resumption. I think most schools are resuming today, and it's very crucial. We'll take note of the. I think even ministry, they are going. Maybe the Ministry of Education, they are going around schools checking privates and mostly private anyway. I know they would have done their public background check, but I think they are going around private schools looking at their finalists, how they are coming to school. And you see in some schools, you can't come in without mask. I think that's a good one. That's a good, yes, that's a good precautionary measures, at least that shows you care. And some other schools, you see them already putting like this water, washing your hands things in front of their school or somewhere, at least to show that they are already prepared for resumption. It's a good one. But the thing I fear is we are only managing finalists, right? GSS 3, SS 3. So when the full school resume, means the facility has to be upgraded to either you are putting more hand washing basins everywhere, or you are taking very drastic steps. So it's a good step in the right direction.
Awesome. So entering with nose mask, but we also need to talk about staying in with nose mask. So Titi, over to you. Quick headlines.
Rotary, can I form my own headlines? A headline I would like to see.
Yes, absolutely.
I formed my own, so you can form yours.
The headline I want to see is government announces palliatives for private school owners and teachers.
Woo! I love that.
And there's a way they put the headline. So they say the minister, Titi. What do we put your portfolio now?
So
1 minute minister.
The minister finally listens to the voices of the people and announces palliatives for private school owners and their teachers.
So shame.
Awesome. Yeah. Safety Chick has come with that. I'm sure O'Shea is a safety word, Abby. Interesting, fantastic. So we're excited. But I'm so excited this morning that I'm going to be adding a flavor to this. It's an headline actually. So officially, we can have a hot cup of coffee or tea, as the case may be, on the Good Morning Education Show. And why is that? Because I have with me, I hope you can see this.
Yeah, Safety Chick on the cup. Safety Chick on the cup.
Oh, nice.
Who is this? Titi, your cup is with me.
My cup.
Oh, that's it, in the cup.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Lady Posh. Who's that? Row.
If you've not seen the prophet's face before, here's a chance. And of course,
Hey.
there's something I need you to see. I need you to see this before I say what I want to say. It's not just the face, but it's saying, I am thankful for great educators like you. And this is something that we received from Nana all the way from Ireland.
Wow.
Nana.
Nana.
So
Wow.
I'm launching your mug. obviously, I'm going to take about 7 cups of coffee or tea today. I'll drink on your behalf. And then I'll
Nana,
dispatch
good morning,
Thank you,
So,
Nana. We now see why they are really deserving of the name, Nana.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Nana, thank you so much. This is very, very touching. You know, when I got a package, and I was wondering, what's this package? It was somehow, bulky. I was thinking, who's sending me packs of dollars or something? And then I opened it, and I saw it. And if I was very emotional, I'm sure I'd have dropped some tears. But it was quite touching, to actually have people out there. Most times the reverse is the case. The audience are the ones expecting gifts and not the other way around. And this is such a big motivation. All the way, she's not in Nigeria, but she's still been able to touch us. And this is the principle we're trying to share, that we actually can have our impact transcend a particular or immediate location that we have. And so thank you so much. Okay, if you said I saw the prophet's face over the weekend. Oh my God.
We are seeing your place in other places. They're not happy.
And Carol is in the building. Carol, good morning, Carol. If you're good morning. Everyone, good morning. And we have KK in the building. KK, how are you?
Good. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
KK,
You're welcome.
KK, have you joined the Jude cult?
She's in the club. She's in the Juice Club.
All right. So we're going straight. Okay, let's just give KK an opportunity. KK, do you want to share your own headlines? We're having special headlines today. So everybody's saying theirs.
I'm not sure what the headlines should be.
No, your own personal headlines.
Choose your own headline.
Oh. Can I pass?
Can you pass? Is that what you said?
Yes.
This is the first time KK is running. The whole republic running. He will fight and run. We live to fight another day and win. Obviously, you've joined Jude's Club. All right. Let's go straight to... Someone said something. Let's just treat this and then we'll go straight to the matter of today. Someone said something about the resumption and the exams and all that, that there might be a surge in examination malpractice. What do you think about that? Because some students might feel, or some people might feel that the pressure of the closeness of dates and they're having the pressure to pass, there might be some chance. What do you think about that?
Is that for me?
Well,
Hello? Okay. Hey, everybody, you can start with KK and then we'll go to everybody.
Okay, well, I don't see why there should be exam malpractice simply because we feel people are not prepared. So again,
the laptop is breaking up really badly.
Oh, sorry about that.
We can hear you.
Okay, so while we're waiting for KK, Titi, do you want to share while we're waiting for KK to connect?
I'm so sorry. What are we sharing?
Okay, so let me go. So I think that there's actually a possibility.
No, the question, I was saying that somebody mentioned to me that there's a possibility that we'll witness.
Okay, Safety Chick is going ahead, then I'll talk after her.
Yeah, continue.
Okay, so I was saying that there's actually a possibility of that because people want quick fixes. people with, you know, the fear that.
All right, Safety Chick, over to you.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I was saying that it is possible for that to happen because people would feel under the pressure that they do not have enough time. And so they begin to look for how to, like I say, beat the system. But that shouldn't be the case. This should actually be the time for teachers to go the extra mile and maybe hone on the important areas that exams are likely to cover and do thorough revision with their students and let them know that, yes, it might look like we do not have enough time, but this is still possible. It is still possible for you to pass if we go through the normal process of studying. So we need to help them take away that fear that they are not ready, that fear of they don't have enough time, and instead redirect that energy and let them know that, yes, we might have a limited time, but if we focus on key areas, we can still cover the things that we need to cover. So I think if that confidence comes from the teachers, it will seep into the students. But if already some of the teachers are feeling helpless, children will pick it up and they would also want to help themselves. Because I'm sure you also know that sometimes in some schools, it's actually teachers that help the students to cheat.
Yeah.
Some must have cases like that. Yes. So it should stream from the teachers inspiring confidence in them that, okay, we may not have enough time, but this is totally doable. And then, of course, parents should help. You know, let your children know that, okay, we are not going through shortcuts. It's possible to, you know, focus on some key areas. And there is a history with all these exams. Most of these exams always have always covered in all examinations. So we can just pick one and three things and then focus on in that area. So that at the minimum, children are
you know,
all right. So
okay.
Titi, over to you.
My take on it is that people have been cheating since 19 borrowed, and they will continue to cheat till 19 to the end of the century. That's not going to change, you know. That's all some people do. They don't have any plans on reading. They'll just go about looking for expo, looking for loopholes, looking for.
Don't you think because the assessment is too streamlined and it's too limiting?
Dude, we're talking about human behavior. You know, it doesn't change like that. You know, so honestly, that's what's just going to happen. So if they've been doing it before, they're going to continue to do it now. They're even under more pressure to do it even more. And then the people that never thought of doing it before are also for the first time considering it. And it's really going to be the fact. Honestly, I can go back to my time. You know, I went to the unity school.
First time offenders.
To the left or to the right. But after your exams in June, you know, there was always the GCE in case, you know, which you did as backup in case you feel any subject. So I went to go and do the GCE. So I did it here in Lagos. I did it in one school. So when I entered there, I was like mesmerized at the level of, as in I never, you know, I was like, an angel thrown into the den of the dust.
And these are adults. These are adults.
Not only was what they, you know, cheating right and center. That was when I, for the first time, heard people talking about how their parents have settled somebody and how their parents have gotten someone to write the exams for them. I was like, I can't even imagine. I want to tell my own father to use his own money to pay somebody to do it. So I'm not saying that there's nothing new under the sun. They've been doing it still from the beginning, and they will continue to do it, and we should not expect anything less. If anything, we should expect it to increase. That's where I wrote the story.
All right, so let's go straight to the matter of the day. And KK, you've joined us with the video. Great to have you here this morning. Smile now, KK, okay. Smile. Give us a smile. All right, so we're going to be speaking about the topic of today: school policies, pros and cons. And I would like us to start with the fact that can we start with the purpose of what policies are? Because sometimes a lot of people just think it's just a checklist in setting up your school. You hear policies, people feel it's a proof of that you're professional or formal, or it's a proof of policy. And I really want to hear KK's thoughts about that. So when we say school policies, what does it really mean? Take it over to you.
Yeah, sorry, for everybody once again. So, I mean, for me, policies are a guiding document that should manage a set of behaviors or should manage the functionality of a system. So if I look at the policies governing breathing, for example, I need to breathe in and then breathe out. So if I don't, then I'm going to die, except I go into the space of assisted breathing. And so for me, that's what a policy is. It's a framework that every school should have. Now, like people would say, the rules are not made for man, or man are made for the rules. However way you look at it, the reality is without a set of policies guiding the way you do things in school, then it's a zoo in reality. And all zoos have policies, to be honest with you. The policy is not the document. And that's where people miss it. People hold on to that document and forget the document exists and in what way that the school and the sustainability. I see. Background.
There's a lot of them.
Seems that network is bad. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of background noise.
Safety chick, you said what?
There's a lot of background noise.
Okay.
Did anybody hear me?
From whose end?
It's gone now.
It was coming from yours, but yours is clearer now.
Mrs. Ajayi, go
Yes,
ahead.
it's better now.
Okay.
Okay, let's. Yes.
I think I thought I was done speaking actually, but I was just mentioning the fact.
So you stopped at school. The school policy is not just a document. You said, yeah. So you said
right.
that the school policy is not just a document. A lot of people focus on that.
Actually, it should be a living and breathing system that guides the way things work in the school. So it guides not just behavior, it guides thought processes, it guides functionality, and it safeguards the community. So that's what people forget about the policy. They look at it as a punitive measure and say, you know what, the policy says. It's not about what the policy says. It's that the policy is, it's almost like when you look at the laws in the Bible, so that's like a policy for life. So we need to begin to look at policies like that. Without policies, then anything can happen, and there's a lot of abuse that can happen within the system, which will not be fair. So that's the good thing, and that's what they're meant for. They're also meant to help the school stay alive, system to be able to stay alive. So that's the policy. So it's beyond documentation. It should every single time. And say, oh, do we need to do a policy review? Yes, it's not something you do once. Like Mr. Rotimi said, when we are starting the school, we have our policies. No, it's something that is school grows. Reality change.
There's a lot of stuff coming from your end. I think multimedia is experiencing Rotimi.
Hello.
Okay. I think there's a bit of a lag from when we talk and when you hear and when you respond. Okay. Do you want to while Rotimi is
okay? The network is really bad. Titi, are you there?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm here.
My end.
I can hear
Yeah.
you. I can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Is it my? Okay, so let me just ask this question. I'm going to ask Titi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Hello, you said what?
Yes, she's listening. She's listening.
Okay, so let me throw this question to you, Titi. And the question is simple. Looking at what we're just discussing about, and then KK rightfully mentioned something about a lot of people stressing the fact that this is what the policy does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Wow. You can't hear me, you know.
Okay, so you go on, Mark, since you already heard this question.
I heard only part of his question, but so what I mean, like Mrs. Ajayi said, we need policies, you know, it's beyond education. Anywhere where you are, once there are more than two people, you need policies. Even in your home, you know how it is. The policy is that you go to bed at 9 p.m. It's a policy, you know, that's something to guide. Schools even need it more because they're dealing with so many people. When something happens, which is what Mrs. Ajayi was saying, you have to update your policy. So imagine that something happens in class whereby you know, a child punched another child, and then the parents come, all you know how we parents are all fighting and all that. When you learn from that experience, you need to go back and say, what should your policy be? You know, maybe the teacher didn't handle it well due to no fault of hers. It's fine. You know, the idea with policy is that it then provides you a new guideline. So all the teachers now know that if two kids have a fight in your class, this is what you should do. This is, you know, this is how you should, you know, handle it. This is what the parent should later find out from it. So that it's not a case of the parent goes home and the child now says, I had blood come out. You know, when children tell stories, it's a different thing. Or maybe blood was coming out. You want you know, he won't say the part that he was involved in. And it's only those of us that are parents that are realistic. You know, it can happen in our house as well. And we now say, what happened? What did you do? I said, I didn't do anything. I will call your teacher and, you know, find out. So when you learn from those experiences, you go back and say, let me put them as a policy. Guide everyone to know what to do. So it's important that you don't have policy for policy's sake. You have policy that guides. And when there are policies, some policies become obsolete, take them out. And when new things happen, put them in your policy. And it's not only with dealing with you know, parents, it's also dealing with your teachers. Two teachers had a conflict, this and this happened, then you just put a policy, you know, policy in place. As long as you know that the possibility of that thing reoccurring again is high. The same thing with when things happen that are safety. So there was a time that, you know, a child was still in school, and the teacher just said, okay, you know what, just gonna lie down there, someone put your head in the class, and then, you know, later on, you know, when in school you go home. But the child had a very high fever. So the next thing that happens is you then put a policy in place. So if a child is not feeling fine, take his temperature. If the temperature is more than this, send him to this, you know, send him to the nurse, send him to the sick bay. And that's what, for me, policies are not things to look at as your enemy. Policies are just things that guide us, help us to know how to react and be better at whatever it is that we're doing. Learn from our other experiences rather than each teacher having to learn the experience over and over again. Thank you.
Okay, I agree with you. I really agree with you. In fact, when both of you were speaking, it was just making me think of why it's important for all schools to have a school safety policy, because your policy is what is going to protect you in the day of trouble.
Exactly.
Many times people just it's a problem. They are trying to stress you out, all these safety regulatory agencies and all that. No, it's actually protective, so that the day somebody comes to say something, whether it's a parent or a child or someone else comes to say something that is against, you let them know that this is what we have, and this document was shared with you when you were bringing your children to this school, and you accepted, you consented to it. So if you consented to it, so it's able, it at that point, it protects the teachers, the school owners, because it was existing. So a policy is not just for punishment's sake, and it is a protective device. Honestly, and you can't keep on shouting and quarreling about something if it has not been communicated. So if you have this policy and it's in one book somewhere and nobody even knows it exists, your teachers are not aware of what it contains, the students don't know how it protects it, the parents are not even aware of the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll ask. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes,
so I'm going to ask this question, and I want us to answer this question in as let's say 30 seconds each. So from what I've gathered, number one, the school policies should not be static. So how often should the school policy be updated? And that question, I'm throwing that to Titi. And I'm going to ask, let me ask Keke that question.
You can't throw it to me. Throw it to Mrs. Ajayi. School owner.
No problem. I'm throwing it to Mr. Ajayi. Okay, Mr. Ajayi. Mr. Ajayi will answer that question. How often? Mr. Ajayi, you're in trouble today. So she's going to answer that question. But Titi, your question, you can't run away from this. So your own question is, no. So you're not living anywhere. You're inside your house. You're inside where you are. All right. So let's just have Ms. Ajayi answer that in 60 seconds or so.
Okay. So how often should a school policy?
How often should?
Yeah. So the reality is, I don't think there's a date and time. However, the same way you do appraisals, which are on a so we do appraisals 3 times in a year. It's the same way you should look at your school policies and say, look, let's take a look at policies as a document that should be reviewed maybe twice a month, at the beginning of each term and maybe towards the middle of each term. So that when you review at the middle of each term, then at the beginning of the session, I beg your pardon, not the term. When you look at a session being 3 terms, then you can have a policy review at the beginning of the term, of the beginning of the session, and in the middle of the session. So
all right, perfect, fantastic. So Titi,
for a pilot.
Yes, Rotimi.
All right, thank you so much. So Titi, your question, you can't throw it again. You don't have the throwing chance anymore. All right. So, question. We've been talking about what what the policy says. The policy says this. The policy says that. Can we get a little bit of insight from what the policy should do, not just what the policies say? Because I believe there's a culture angle, there's a cultural perspective to the school policy. So I'd like you to share that. And just before you share that, I'd like to welcome the Flourish Gate Global Consult, Dideola Adekunle. Thank you for joining. Chukwu Ebuka Collins, thank you for joining. And Cadet Academy TV, thank you for joining. All right, so Titi, over to you.
So your question was, sorry, Rotimi, I'm just trying to.
All right. The question is this. We've been talking about what the policy says. A lot of times I hear people say, no, that's not what the policy says. The policy says we should do this. The policy says that. Okay. Now, can we transit a bit from what the policy says as to what the policy does? Because I believe there's an outcome, or there's a goal or the end game behind the policy.
I think Rotimi, one of the as you say that, I think it's important that when schools have either new students or new teachers, they need to start with what's the vision of the school, what's driving everything we do, why do we do what we do? Because once you can appreciate that, then maybe the policies would then begin to make sense while we're doing that. So it's really more of saying the why, so that people don't think that policy is just there to make life difficult. I think it's to say the why of the policy and say, why do we have this policy? What are we trying to achieve with the policy? In the end, like someone like Safety Chick said, the policy is a guiding document to help us know what to do when certain situations that are not normal come up. And then apart from that, it's also a document that protects. One protects the child, protects the parent, and protects you as a teacher. Because when incidents happen and you follow what's in the policy, then the school should back you up. I know that the school might not do that all the time, but the school should back you up. So when a parent comes and say, oh, well, the teacher did this, the teacher did that, then the school can say, well, yes, the teacher did that, and she was right in doing that, because that's what our policy is. But when we are looking at the review, we need to remember that let our policies not defeat the purpose of the policy. It's in the end, it's to really help us achieve our goals. So there's some policies that after a while they become obsolete, but are some policies that need to be updated or bent because a new circumstance that we have never seen before has happened. So a COVID is a very typical one. Normally, a lot of schools have HSC policies, but they've never had to update it. Now something new is coming that's making us relook at everything we do. So we will never forget what we are trying to achieve, so that the letter and the how do they say, the letter of the law as well as the main things behind the law are serving the same purpose. I don't know if I've tried to answer that question.
Well, that's you did well on that. So I'm going to ask Jude. Jude has been a bit quiet. So looking at you working in schools and also being familiar with the school terrain, right? Yes. One of the things that I would like to ask you is this. So when we talk about school policies, obviously from the summation of KK and TT, the policy should not be considered as a rule. It should be considered as a guide. Yes, meaning that it's flexible. It's something that can change per time, per season, and per essence. Okay, so what I would like you to talk a little bit about the cons. Let's take a little step away from the pros, or better still, let's talk about some of the limiting factors that some policies actually has affected a lot of schools, especially primary and secondary schools. We'll talk a little bit about the tertiary afterwards, but let's dwell on that first two levels. What are the
cons,
limiting factors, or the advantages of some policies that have been set in place? Could you please share?
The cons majorly with policies. I think it's not even just in schools. Generally, the cons are there's no policy on who should be updating the policy. There's no policy on who should be in charge. It's true now, it's true. We have obsolete policies, we have policies that need changing, but everybody's just looking who should do it. And even the people in charge of it, they are still looking at who should be the first to take the bull by the horn, right? So it's a proactive measure, and majorly it's simply because I think maybe when policies are being adopted in school, there's no office that has the sole right or the
office of the policy.
Yeah.
The office of the
policy makers and a policy adjuster. So there's not an office like that in school. So it's mostly maybe the initiative of the head of school or the supervisor and all that. But there should be a system in place that helps school change or work with policies and not just change it for changing sake, but at least somebody should be in charge, or an office, not just a person, an office should be in charge of upgrading policies and making it available to parents and making it available to teachers. And the good thing about it is there is tech, so you can actually update a policy and everybody gets it as an email update of that policy, right?
Okay, so let me spice up that question a bit. So let's say something. I know safety people want to add to that. So imagine a school has a safety policy, and because they've attended the school safety summit, they've listened to the Good Morning Education show, and they followed the trends of the resumption guidelines. So therefore, to this end, the school has come up with a safety policy that we don't want children to bruise their knees. We don't want infection of any form or sort, blah, 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 blah. And there, you now have the children being caged, being restricted, being constricted in such a manner that school becomes like a place of prison or terror. Now, how do you relate with that kind of reality? And there are many policies that they might not speak in that sort, but that same thing affects people. While trying to achieve one, we now lose a lot more. So it's for you, Safety Chick and Jude, very quickly.
This is why when creating policies, it's really important to create it from a balanced angle. You know, you're not just focusing on only one side, because when you bring in different people from different sectors to work on a policy, they are able to bring diverse perspectives, and it helps you to create the right policy. Now, speaking on when policy can be changed or reviewed, sometimes some policies will say policy can be reviewed every 24 months. However, there are certain conditions that can make it possible for a policy to be reviewed before a scheduled period. Because there could be a new legislation, there could be a life happening, like now we all have the pandemic, right? Or there could be introduction of a new machinery, or there could be introduction of a new procedure. When certain things that would impact existing policy happens, that policy can be reviewed before the agreed due date. So some policies may say from the beginning that, oh, we need to review this policy every 24 months, or some will just leave it broadly and say it must be reviewed periodically. However, when certain conditions like this happen, it must be reviewed. When there is a change in legislation, when there is a change, when there is a life happening, when there is a new equipment, when there is a new building structure. So say, for example, a school was a bungalow before, but now they have so much money and they've now built 1 3-story building somewhere. Some things in policy might change, most especially if what was existing focused on a bungalow structure. So now, when creating policy, you are coming from the angle of having different stakeholders on board who see things from different angles, so that your policy is not restrictive. Because that's one of the cons of policies. Sometimes some policies become obsolete because they were carved in a restrictive manner. It didn't give room for growth. It didn't give room for things that could happen suddenly. Do you see? So we must. That's why we must have different people coming together when creating policies.
Fantastic. All right. Okay, so let's head over to the comments, and we will take the questions or comments from the audience. We have a lot, and I believe that Titi.
Yes,
please. Who is taking our comments today?
Safety Chick.
Yes, it's our turn. It's
Safety. You are meant to allocate. The policy says that Titi appoints the one.
It's turn by turn.
Okay.
The policy states that Titi is the one that is getting. All right.
Okay, so right here on the screen we have from the Flourish Gate Global Consult at Jude. It's true. No one is assigned to review and update policies. I think this is part of the thing that should actually be in the content when we are making policies. There should be that section that would say, when should this policy be reviewed and who can review it? So it sets precedent for what will happen after.
Yeah.
Carobalo says policy should be updated with the leadership team and ratified with the governing board.
Yeah. Next, what to me?
Benjamin says, having policies
it's
that
on.
cover
It's
a
the
wide
network.
range of operation and achieving compliance with them ensures sanity, ethics, makes it easier to attain set goals, and helps build a great brand in the long run. Absolutely. Policies must cover a really wide range of areas. The Flourish Gate Global Consult says, policy is a guide to school operations. Yes. Carol Bannon says, without policies, schools will lack structure and function. Exactly. Because policies sort of set out the standard operating procedure, set expectations, and everybody knows what they are supposed to do per time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The Flourish Gate Global Consult again. At every resumption of new staff and learners, there should be an orientation to inform the new members of the community to help them integrate and navigate the new system. Yes, very important, so that everybody knows what to expect of them. Arubani says, policy helps standard quality for learning and safety, as well as expectations and accountability. Absolutely. Policy statements back to yes. So everything is not going to be stated in the policy. Broad statements are in the policy. Then, based on those broad statements, we are now able to create standard procedures to suit each of those broad statements. So I agree. School policy should be reviewed annually or whenever the current policy does not meet current needs. For example, the health and safety policy needs reviewing now in the light of COVID-19. Yes, that's one of the things I was mentioning. That sometimes it might be stated the period, but there could be life happenings or new things in the environment that would force you to, and that's why it actually must be stated in the policy that even though we want to review at a particular date, when these kinds of things happen, state examples, the document should be reviewed. Yeah, so the Flourish Gate says yearly for broad-based school policy review and also as the need arises. Policy is an operational statement that guides the activities of the school.
Okay, so we have some questions.
Oh, okay. Nana, thank you so much for our mugs. School policy. School policies, in essence, is made up of a document that serves as a constitution. It is important that it is clear and meets with commitment to meeting legal and regulatory requirements. It should be reviewed as appropriate. Absolutely. When you have a policy, it makes it to comply with the relevant regulations in the state or country that you operate in. Chukwebuka Collins says, what about a school which before now hadn't upheld their policies, or the so-called policies are not even known? What should be done? They have to start acting. They have to start acting because according to regulations, when you have 5 staff and above, you should have a policy in that environment. No matter how big or small your organization is, once you have a maximum or a minimum of 5 staff, you must have policies. So if you are not upholding it, thank God you are here. If you know any environment that is not operating, speak up. And one thing I always advocate to educators or anyone who wants to raise a problem to an institution is when you go with a problem, also come with a solution, so that they don't look at you like you are coming up with issues with. So when you come and you say, "Oh, you are not following the
say the word," they don't look at you as a troublemaker.
Exactly, you'll be like one troublemaker. But if you came with the solution, oh, we are doing this, so it's going to cause a problem, but this is what we can do to help. the person will not look at you as a problem. You know, it helps them, and it makes you also seem like a forward-thinking person, someone who has taken ownership and who wants to assist the business. Do you see? So yes, if you know of that, tell them this is the problem and this is how we can solve it.
I think sometimes some people are not aware when they, you know, take actions that are actually against the policy. So I think it's okay to bring it up, to say, oh, but this is, you know, this is what our policy says we should do. But, you know, when we're talking about the cons, one of the things we mentioned is, you know, sometimes when you have policies, you know, they seem to be rigid, especially when there are situations that the policies did not envisage. And those are some of the cons of policies or laws all over the world. So it's easier when the organization is small, when the school is one school, you know, the owner there on board, it's easy for things to change. But when it's someone that has a group of schools, you know, like what Carol was saying, is done by the management, ratified by the board. And, you know, those are things where it seems as if, you know, the school policies cannot immediately address current needs. So it's easier for changes in policies when the school is small than for when it's a bigger, more established school with, you know, a couple of groups. But I still think that one of our duties as educators, as people, is to always bring the attention, you know, to management. But the difference is that is the manner and the approach in which you bring, you know, the attention.
Okay, absolutely. KK says policies are given life by the procedures. Very, very true. Yes, because a policy document is not supposed to be so large. You just brought statements and then you would now make it more, should I say, in-depth with your procedures. Okay, Chikwebuka says, should a school's policy be influenced by the parents or the other way around? Okay, so should we answer that, Mr. Rotimi?
Read the other comments, then we'll answer it later.
Okay. So Mr. Ajayi says a policy is about the sustainability of the community. So the needs of both sides, if the table should be okay, the needs of both sides should be considered. Let me just put it out.
Okay, so since that statement actually addresses the question, I don't know if somebody has one more too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You have to consider all parties. Parents, you know, in taking the decision, and take the decision that's, you know, best for everyone.
All right.
Okay. I like Carol's comment.
Carol says, in the UK, we have statutory policies that must be in place before a school even starts. Then non-statutory policies which supports good practice and support the school ethics and principles. Yes, so I know that we have some states here in Nigeria that there are actually principles that you must follow before you open your school gates to the public. Now, the problem is it being followed? Do we have compliance? Mr. Ajayi says,
that's
your policy
compliance is the problem.
Your community. Yes. If a policy alienates your community, then you may still not have a community. Very true. So it's important to have a flexible working document. Very, very true. Very important.
But not too flexible. You know, it's important you have a flexible document, but not too flexible that is being changed, you know, at the drop of a hat.
All the time. No, of course. Yeah.
So someone comes today, they change the policy. Another person comes in the other direction, change the policy.
Policy is not something that should be changed like that.
No, it's not. It's not. What you can change sometimes is when you look at the procedural angle of things, and then you say, okay, you know what, this procedure, perhaps we haven't quite explained the policy and ensured that there's a high level of compliance. So let's look at the procedural angle and say, okay, guys, that's what do we do here? Obviously, these people who are not complying need some form of support. And so you look at the procedure governing how you should then administer that policy. And then that alone might make it easier to uphold the policy. So flexibility in that regard is not changing it every 2 seconds. No, it's saying, how many people does this, like safety, honestly, like all of us has said, is it still relevant today? And then doing a little bit of forecasting. Is it going to be relevant tomorrow? or do we need to tweak this? And then you sit down with the board of directors or the school management and then sit down and actually look at it and say what needs to be done. And sometimes it's not the entire policy that is reviewed. It's just that you have a small segment again, and then you attach that as an addendum, and that goes out to everybody else.
Yes, I agree.
Coral
stays, okay. But if the policies are shared with parents at the beginning, should the school change policy at the whim at the whim of parents?
Yeah, I think we just addressed that. Definitely not.
Okay. Okay. The next comment.
Oh, we are more or less out of time. Mr. Retire, we only have 3 minutes on the clock. Is he there?
Okay. Okay. So, hello.
We can hear you.
Yeah. So you stepped into my lane, Titi, and I'm giving yellow card for that. All right. So good. We've come towards the end of the show today, and I'd like to say this: we need to also understand that the finality concept in the minds of everyone must be addressed. Whatever you create is not left to die. You understand? The whole creativity process doesn't stop at the birthing. So, and we find out a lot of times it's a cultural thing. People start a business and they leave it to die. People write a policy and they leave it to run. You know, so when you have a policy, right, it speaks of you having a sign of what you want to do. If you don't have a policy, it's also a sign, right? If you have a policy and it's not backed up by culture, it's a sign. If your policies are not functional, it's a sign. If you have a policy that becomes a god to your system, it's a sign. Whichever rule, whichever situation you belong to, guys, I want you to make sure you go back there, review like the analysts and the panelists have said, and so fantastic comments out from the audience as well. Do something about it. Make sure that you have a vibrant organization as a result of a vibrant policy in place. The policy is not a rule, as we've been told today, it's a guide. The policy is not your God, it's a guide. It should do you good. It should not just say, it should also do. So we had a great time today. Thank you so much. Now for the mugs, I'm showing the mugs. Everybody see our mugs. I want the world to see the mugs. I'm drinking from Ronke Posh right now. I'm drinking from Jude. I'm drinking from Mike. I'm not going to drink from Titi today because Titi has a yellow card. So I'm drinking from St. Kiki. I'm drinking from KK. Your mug is coming. Don't worry. It's going to apply for visa. And then I'm drinking from Eben. And this is our policy in the Good Morning Show, that it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Show. So thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Have a great time today. Ringing the bell of blessings for those who joined us. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your day.
Everyone, thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.